Yeah, afternoon everyone. Just going to do a quick story about another fight I had, and this was in the 90s. Not sure which year because I was in prison most of the 90s, early 90s and mid 90s. But I'm pretty sure it was in Highdown, and the fight is another fight that I got into that I didn't even want to fight. Like a lot of fights I've had, I had no real beef with the opponent. It was just organised by other people really who wanted to get me into a fight and watch basically. So yeah, we go back to that. So I can't even remember the guy's name, but he was my cellmate. He was a young kiddie. I think I was a few years older than him at the time, possibly about 25. I think he was 21, 22. Yeah, so what it was, at the time, we weren't getting no association for some reason that day, or we hadn't been, maybe due to the screws were on strike, and what it was, I had a cellmate. He was an estate agent, or he had been working as an estate agent. I can't even remember what he was in for. He was from Streatham. So basically, what it was, where he was banged up all the time, uh, I was convicted. No, sorry, I was on remand, and he was convicted. And he'd been getting parcels of tobacco sent in to me, or he had a parcel of tobacco sent in to me, and we was waiting for it. Basically, we didn't have anything to smoke, and I was roasting for a roll up, a cigarette, because you could smoke back then. It wasn't vaping and all that. This was in the 1990s, where you could just smoke. So basically, I've got this cellmate. I'm on remand. He's convicted. He's sending in some tobacco for me, but it hasn't arrived yet. So we're roasting for a smoke. No one on the wing's got any double bubble. No one's selling backy. That's what they used to do, double bubble. If you were desperate, someone would lend you half ounce and you had to pay an ounce of tobacco back at the next canteen and so on. And if you didn't pay, it went up and up, or you got a clump, whatever. Yeah, so it was all like that. No one had any tobacco, and if they did, they weren't letting off. But it turned out a friend of mine from Carshalton that was in there, Guy Holden, and I might have mentioned him before. He did actually die in prison. Rest in peace, Guy. He died of an overdose on his prison sentence in Highdown, I think it was, but I'm not sure if it was there. But I do know that he did die, sadly. But he was there, and Paul Reardon and Desi from Deptford, around that way. And basically, what they'd done, he told me, Guy, that my cellmate, all the time we're banged up for this time, this whole day or whatever, with no association, not getting out for work, nothing. Where I've been roasting for a smoke, he told me that he had tobacco all the time, you know. So why I'm sitting there saying, oh, I guess I can murder a roll up and asking people, and they're all saying no, and he's saying, oh yeah, agreeing with me, oh, I could really do with a smoke as well, can't wait till that parcel comes along. But really, I think I even called a screw and said, oh Governor, what's happening with the mail? Has the parcels in yet? And all that, asking about this tobacco. Basically, I wanted tobacco so I could swap it to buy a bag of heroin and that, but I did want to roll up as well. So basically, all this day he'd been saying, yeah, he was gasping for a smoke, but I found out that he had backy all the time. He just wasn't letting off, and it was my cellmate, and I'd been sharing things with him, and you expect that in return. But I found out this from my friend Guy, and then basically he said, well, you're going to have to row over it, and I really didn't want to fight. I'd been clucking, like I said, I was on remand, so I hadn't been it was only a couple of weeks before when I was out on the street using a lot of heroin, so I was still going through withdrawal. And I remember Guy, um, Desi, and that Paul Reardon basically just sort of pushed me into the cell, when he was sitting in there, and basically I thought, if I don't fight him, I'm going to have to fight them, sort of thing, and they're supposed to be my mates. So basically, I just walked in there. I could hardly walk anyway. Smacked him in the mouth, I think, once or twice, and then he was fighting me back. He hit me a couple of times, and then it turned into a bit of a wrestling match on the beds. There's two steel beds in there, And basically, I was knackered just from standing up. I couldn't hardly walk anyway, you know. And so basically, he was getting the better of me, you know. But basically, he wasn't hitting me. He was just sort of pinning me down on the bed, and it was sort of like a wrestling. And he had me in a clinch sort of thing, all tied up. So basically, I just bit him, and you know, where I bit him, he got frightened, you know, because he probably thought, you know, drug addicts, you know, disease and all that, and he jumped off, which I knew he would. But I was completely fucked, and after that, the screws would come in, and it sort of all ended and sort of fizzled out and that, you know. And after that, I spoke to him and that, you know, and he moved to another cell. You know, I wasn't really bothered. You know, he moved to another cell, and basically, you know, the parcel of tobacco that it came, and I kept it basically, um, you know, and swapped it for heroin, you know. So yeah, but after that happened, I remember Guy, you know, afterwards running around the landing going, the kid beat him, the kid done Sean and all that, you know, like it was a joke. It was because it was all a bit of a joke, really. But like I said, I didn't really want to fight then. Anyway, you know, you're not always up for a fight, you know, but that's just how it is, yeah. So yeah, another little story there. So I just want to say, you know, I've not been getting a lot of views recently, so it'd be nice if I can get a few more views and a few more subscribers. Because apparently, when you get up to 600 subscribers, your videos upload straight away, which would be a lot easier for me. And please like, subscribe, and share, guys. And thanks a lot, and hope you all have a good weekend. Thank you.